Stephen Colbert was right when he did the Wørds segment on Solitarity a few days ago. Now, if you saw that segment, he did kind of criticize people of my generation for being all too happy to blog in protest rather than act in protest. But the whole point of making these videos is going to be to get ideas for how to fight against problematic situations, how to correct problems that exist in society, and then to actually do those things and get action involved after the conversation here. So this is the beginning, not the end. The question that he was asking had to do with the forum that John Kerry had at a college where he was able to give a speech and then ask for questions from the audience. One of the audience members, who was a student there, who was being a bit loud and obnoxious in how he was wording his questions. And he was asking about skulls and bones things too. And I don't know what other questions he was asking, or if there were some that were more important than others and that sort of thing. Don't really know, but he was being apprehended as a result of the questions that he was asking and the way that he was asking them. And in the process, the police officers saw fit to taser him. Now, he wasn't actually a threat to the students in the room, to John Kerry, or to the police. He was not armed. He was asking questions. So no matter what you may think of whatever questions he was asking, he was not a threat. He did not deserve to be tasered. That was excessive force. Okay? But why was there no reaction to this excessive force by the student body or by John Kerry? At least not at the time that it was happening. I have a couple of ideas as to why that might be. One is because people are sort of shocked by the use of tasers still. They're relatively new on the police force. And also they're not supposed to be something that does damage to someone. They're supposed to be something which will immobilize you with pain, but will not actually cause, say, your leg to break or anything like that, as, say, a baton would. Now, of course, they actually can cause damage if someone has a heart condition or some other medical condition which the electricity aggravates, but theoretically that's how they're supposed to work. They're supposed to be an immobilizer. So maybe because of the perception of tasering as being not harming was the reason, or maybe it had to do with something like not wanting to question authority, like in the old Milgram's shock experiment, where, if you're not familiar with that, it's really, really fascinating, but it has to do with authority figures and how people are willing to allow or even help terrible things to happen, harm to others to happen, as long as someone else is accepting the responsibility for it and saying, oh no, I'm the authority, I'll take care of it, you just keep doing what you're doing, sort of thing. Anyway, I don't want to think that was a better part of the non-reaction of the students in this case. I would like to think that if there was obvious harm being done to him, say with a baton, or if there were some other more extreme form of violence going on, that there would have been a reaction from the people that were there, but who knows. I think part of the problem is that normally, or in the past, only brutal cops would be engaging in police brutality. But here, people are just kind of trigger happy, I think, with their tasers. They haven't, apparently some of them haven't been trained properly in how not to use their tasers, how not to use it as a default tool for them. So that may be a bigger part of the problem as well, as far as why this happened. But the question is, what can citizens do in response to the numerous incidences there have been where tasering is being used when it doesn't need to be? where there was another incident that I saw on videos on YouTube and I saw on the news where there was a student in a library where he didn't have his student ID or something, so they wanted him to leave. And he was upset and he was making a big deal out of it, but he was actually leaving. And in the process of him leaving, the police that were sent there to escort him out did start tasering him over and over and over again in a way that was absolutely, clearly excessive force. And I will say that the students in that area were not only videotaping, but were protesting and trying to get the police officers to stop, telling them to stop, and were actually active in that case. Anyway, so my thoughts on what we can do is that we can demand that there be laws in the books that regulate the usage of tasers by the police force to help ensure that if someone does use excessive force, just like they use if they use excessive force with any of the other weapons or even just with their bare hands, that they can be prosecuted for it. And also there needs to be better training of police officers before they are given tasers so that they do use it as a last resort. As a last resort before maybe using guns or using some stronger form of violence. Because you just don't know if it could actually hurt someone. So, and regardless, it's still, the amount of pain that it causes should make it a resort that you will keep as long as possible and not use that and just use whatever weapons you have at your disposal before that won't cause as much pain or as much potential for damage. Anyway, so, and that brings up the question now too of why tasers now? Were the other weapons and things that the batons and guns and whatever else that police officers were able to use before insufficient? What's going on with this? But finally, this is my idea of like how to, we should make these demands of regulation and of training. What would be the best way to do that in your opinion? Would it be, of course, sending letters to legislators and things, but going steps further, what would be the practical way to address this? Or if you think that's a bad idea and we shouldn't do that, please let me know. Or if you can think of just a better way to deal with the situation, if you think the core problem being shown by these events is different than what I'm claiming it is, please let me know, and I'm looking forward to comments.